Morning glory and evening grace, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Welcome back to hour 2 of the program. My laryngitis is almost gone. Coming up after the break, I continue talking to Haviv Rettig Gur in our long interview, which is posted over at my YouTube channel. But I begin the hour with my friend John Podhoretz, editor-in-chief of Commentary Magazine. John, I was so happy when you began with remembering The Odd Couple today, because it was a great show. Not the same kind of show for me as it was for you. For me, it was Mary Tyler Moore's show. But tell people why it was your favorite show, because it was a fabulous bit of work.
So The Odd Couple was an adaptation of this Neil Simon play that was a huge hit movie, and they used to do this all the time, is make knockoff TV shows, sort of like road company versions of Broadway hits. And in this case, I think the TV show is better than the original. It posits these two men sharing, an apartment in New York together, and just the number of situations that they get themselves in, from winning a car in on a call-in radio show that they then have to figure out how to park around New York City, getting trapped on a subway car for 22 minutes. Like, a lot of the stuff that Seinfeld did was anticipated by The Odd Couple, which was like the last gasp of kind of Borscht Belt humor. One of the weirdest characters in showbiz history, Gary Marshall, who was the creator of The Odd Couple, an actor, you've seen him you saw him a million times, yep. Director, all this. The Jewiest person who ever lived, but an Italian from the Bronx. Not a drop of Jewish in him, but he sounded like my grandfather. And he had shtick like everybody on the Borscht Belt. Tony Randall, the star of The Odd Couple, born Leonard Rosenberg in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, I didn't know that.
How about that? How'd that for you? Leonard Rosenberg and Jack Klugman, a degenerate gambler from Philadelphia. And there they were, 5 years of absolute joy on television. And today, as you mentioned, is the opening monologue. The opening credits feature the announcer saying, on November 13th, today, Felix Unger was asked to remove himself from his place of residence. So that is why today is Odd Couple Day to all those who observe.
Well, I loved it. I wrote a column today about Boomer to Zoomer and how the passing of the baton on media is happening in real time to people like Matt Continetti and Eliana Johnson, and that boomers have to give it up and entitle and credential younger people. But that, nevertheless, I still love boomer stuff, and I thought it was well done.
Look, it's all true. I think my 15-year-old, if he watched The Odd Couple, would not get what's great about it. Though I think, by the way, I did show him the Mary Tyler Moore Show episode, Chuckles Bites the Dust, which is easily the greatest, I think the greatest sitcom that's ever produced, about what happens when everybody at the TV station has to deal with the accidental death of Chuckles the clown, who is stomped on by an elephant in a parade, and how everybody reacts to it. The greatest, and he was in absolute stitches. And that's a 55-year-old television episode, so it's not as though
it is. But it makes me laugh. It's like I swear to God, I thought turkeys could fly. There are things that are funny, no matter
WKRP. There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And
they have
very
their own.
Funny.
They have the stuff that they think is funny, and a lot of it is funny. I mean, South Park, which is very raunchy, is extraordinarily clever. So,
But I've never watched The Simpsons, John. Not one episode of The Simpsons.
Well, my 15-year-old son has watched all 740 episodes of The Simpsons.
Wow.
I am not.
I want to get to something very serious.
Yes.
What I talked to Haviv about. For 50 years, America's most important strategic ally was Great Britain. It's now in a decline, which is probably irreversible. They have nuclear weapons, but after Tony Blair, and they have a good military, but I don't know that they have the will to project it. Our most strategic ally in the West is Israel. Nuclear power, intelligence power, sophisticated military, wildly effective when they're good, and the will to use it. But we have a left wing in the Democratic Party hell-bent on destroying that relationship. And if foothold on the right that is getting bigger that worries me. Does the center win out in persuading people for non-Christian Zionism, just strategically, that the Israel-United States partnership has to be strengthened and made permanent?
I think so for this reason only. I am very concerned about these ideological drifts. The ideological drift in the Republican Party and I don't think it's a drift anymore, the ideological shift of the Democratic Party. But the simple fact of the matter is, president comes into office and they sit him down uh, to have, meetings about what's really going on in the world. And there will be no substitute for Israel's depth of knowledge of the most important region in the world in terms of its capacity to destabilize the rest of the planet, and the fact that its interests align with ours in the sense that what we want to do is keep radical fundamentalists and millenarian irredentists from taking over the holy sites of Islam and
Exactly.
launching holy wars from them. And I think there's no argument against it. And the victory of Israel in this war, I think in the long run will outweigh this kind of moral preening in relation to Israel, because uh, everything's going to get better, in my estimation, in the Middle East over the next 5 years. And Israel will have been the cause of the improvement, and it's going to be very hard to make the case that it's not going to have improved, and therefore that Israel didn't play a big role. Nothing succeeds like success in this
I would
situation.
love for you to
And
write
that
in
I
"Everything's going to get better." I would love to read that essay from you because,
Oh, that's hard.
we're
Hard for
used
me.
to Abe
Hard
saying
for
it's
me to hear.
worse than that. Yeah.
It's worse than that. I really do believe that, victory in war has a transformative effect on the reputations of nations and their standing in the world, even when people feel, I don't know what you call it, like, snarly or grouchy about it. It's just a fact of the matter that you want to be on the side of people who win and not on the side of people who lose.
So, John, we got 3 minutes. Will Israel win? I mean, they've beaten
Israel's
Iran,
already won.
Hezbollah, but they
Israel's
left
already won.
Hamas.
I mean, there's no permanent victory. The what happened at the end of World War II is something that has happened very rarely in human history, where you have a defeat so total that the entire nation that is defeated undergoes a kind of spiritual, political, and
Yes.
ideological transformation. I don't know that there's any story in history to compare with that. So you can't say, well, it's not World War II. Hamas had to beg America to beg Israel to let a couple hundred guys out of the tunnels that they themselves built that they couldn't figure out a way to get out of. That is a victory in a war. They're like importuning the world to save them from their own dungeon.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know quite what to call that. I don't think that that's like a tactical victory where they retreated and will live to fight another day. Will there be Palestinian action against Israel over the course of the next 50 years? Of course there will be. Will there be hostility that takes the form of, warlike behavior against Israel by its enemies over the next? Of course there will be. But that warlike and hatred continues doesn't mean that Israel didn't win this one.
Well, that's correct. But Hezbollah is trying to reconstitute as we speak, and
And
Israel
Israel is
can't quite
bombing
make
the crap out of them every time their head
that's
pops. They pop their head up out of the hole. Israel drops ordnance on them, so it's not going well. The
and they're building a
reestablishment.
fence. They're building a wall. And I like
Yeah.
that wall. It's a wall.
Yeah.
I don't know what the strategic depth is, but there's not going to be another 10-7. Do you agree with me on
Right.
that? They're just not going to be surprised again.
No, I mean, I think look, the story inside Israel is that the reckoning for what happened is that for 10 years Israel took its eye off the ball and that will never happen again. And so, since that will never happen again, the possibility of building up to another attack like October 7th is extraordinarily unlikely.
And that is good news. It's going to get better. I'm waiting for it, John. Lead story on commentary. Listen to the Commentary Podcast for all pop culture and important news, and it's really a lift. Every day you got to listen to it. Thank you, John Podhoretz. Follow John on X at JPod, and I'll be right back, America. Stay tuned.
The Hugh Hewitt Show is now available on TV. Go to SalemNewsChannel.com or download the app. You can also watch on Roku and Fire Stick. Salem News Channel, the antidote to the mainstream media.